So here we are inside the main door of the Sergeant's Mess. Now, this is the most exclusive club in the world, as far as I'm concerned. If you join as a private, you're automatically a member of the Junior Ranks Club. If you join as an officer, you're already there. But the only way through this door, unless you're a guest, is to earn your way through ability and brains and be promoted to the rank of sergeant. And about the only regret I have in my career is that I was selected for officer training as a master corporal. I didn't make sergeant. And so therefore, I can only ever be a guest in this room. And to that effect, even though there's nobody inside, I'm going to go through the courtesy of asking permission. Come on through. Now this is the anteroom. We have various group portraits of the Sergeant's Mess over the last 100 years, and various other pictures as well. A couple of presentation pieces, a lovely little embroidered sampler of the colors of the 1st Battalion. Another Hector, for reasons unknown to anybody that I've been able to find. The stag's head is always referred to as Hector. This is a Highland stag. Coming through to the main room, which my ancestors at least would call the parlor. We have, looking over to past the bar. Now, it's in considerable disarray right now, but we're in the midst of packing. We have portraits of the former commanding officers for the last century, portraits of the regimental sergeant majors on the other side. And I'll take you across to show one piece here. There was a game, this is a real historical artifact. There was a game that was popular among soldiers in the British Army for centuries. It was popular because all you really needed was something, a cup or something to shake up the tokens and some little squares of paper. They called it Howsy Howsy. We call it bingo. I don't think anybody's, I don't know, I've only been a guest in this place, so I can't tell you how often they play it to this day. In this corner we have a picture of Pipe Major Gillies. He was the first pipe major of this battalion. He had already served 22 years in the British Army before 1910. He was pipe major of the 3rd Battalion Scots Guards, served in South Africa. He, after receiving his Long Service Good Conduct Medal, he applied for a transfer to the Seaforths of Canada. Now in those days, you didn't have an Army service number. You had a regimental number. And they started with number 1 and worked their way up. My grandfather's number was 30023, so he was the 3,000th and 32nd or 23rd man to have enlisted in the regiment. John Gillies, he was number 1. We have a balcony outside, which I'm not going to take you to because it's fairly undignified and tricky to get through that window. The fireplace with a bust of the Scots poet Robbie Burns. Now, Scots throughout the world, and not just Scots, celebrate his birth on in January 23rd. The Sergeant's Mess Burns Night, the Burns Supper, has been celebrated every year since the founding of the regiment. In peace and war, no matter where the battalion has been, the sergeants have had their haggis and a dram and a few songs, stories, and poems by the immortal bard. Continuing around the room, a small section of wall space devoted to one of our most famous sons, Sergeant Smokey Smith, Victoria Cross. A small library, and various arms collected over the years. These 2 jezzails were taken as trophies during the 2nd Afghan War in the 1880s by 2nd Seaforths and presented to us in the 1940s. 3 medals groups present. One, Major Tom Anderson, who was Regimental Sergeant Major and then commissioned from the ranks. Brigadier Stewart-Lough, who was a company commander at Vimy and Passchendaele, won the Military Cross for bravery with a bar for 2nd award, the Distinguished Service Order, mentioned in dispatches of World War I. In World War II, as brigade commander in Western Canada, he was awarded the Companion of the Order of the British Empire. On the right, we have Pipe Major Ed Essen, MBE. He was Senior Pipe Major of the British Empire at the time he retired. Now you see he's got a beard, and that's a tradition in the regiment that the pipe major be bearded. It's not invariably followed, but he was ordered to grow a beard when they went overseas, and he hated the thing. He applied daily, almost, to have permission to shave it off. The colonel kept refusing. Finally, at the end of the war, in 1945, the colonel gave him permission. He had it off within minutes. By that time, the colonel had changed his mind. And he put the beard in a brown paper bag and took it into storage. And he says, well, I grew this on Army time, so it's Army property, so I'm turning it back in. For years, it sat up in the reserve collection. And since I've come back as curator, I've been searching in vain for the thing. I'm afraid that one of my predecessors or someone else went through the room, opened this old paper bag, and went, "Ah!" and dropped the thing and threw it away, which is unfortunate, but I can totally get their point. And this concludes our very brief look at the Sergeant's Mess.